People who have been on game shows and won, what did you really win, and how did it help your life? My brother was on Pyramid in 77 or 78. He got a lifetime of Rice-A-Roni. It was a case of like 48 boxes every year for like 3 years. We got a letter that the show was going off air and out of the Rice-A-Roni business. Cut us right off. P.S. My wife said it was a show called $25,000 Pyramid. I was on a kids game show in the late 80s with my brother. We won, but lost the grand prize, trip to Disneyland, in the bonus round, and were given a $500 gift certificate to a toy store instead. $250 each for a toy store was absolutely incredible for a couple of kids, especially in the 80s. I still remember that shopping trip. When I was about 10, there was a game show on Spanish TV where you would call in to play the game. My mom and I got through one night and won a grocery store certificate for $100. We were so excited as this was big money in the 80s. We get to the store, by bus, and do our shopping. We get to the register and let the checkout person know we won the prize, and she tells us the manager isn't there and that we would need to come back another day for verification. My mom explains that we arrived by bus and how it is difficult to make the trip again. I remember feeling so sad. Thankfully, another employee at the supermarket stepped in and let us take the groceries home. I still remember the feeling of relief when he allowed us to do that. I won the top prize, $500, on a quiz show called Inquisition. This was around 1999. The check arrived right before my car registration was due, which was helpful because I had just lost my job. I won the showcase on The Price is Right. It was the spring break episode, so it was only college students. It was my senior year of college. Winning a new car and a bunch of other stuff made the last semester of college awesome. It's been 5 years and I still drive a car. So I guess it's changed my life in that I've never had car payments. My high school drama and speech teacher was the friend someone called for a phone a friend option on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Back when Regis was still the host, the guy who called him shared a portion of the money with my teacher. Like 30k, and my teacher used the money to adopt a baby. Not really a game show, but for those who remember Bozo Circus, I got to play the grand prize game, every Midwestern child's dream. How did it help my life? For every bucket you hit, out of 6, you get a bunch of toys/gifts. I think I got to bucket #4 or 5. They're much smaller in person, and we drove home with a car full of toys, games, and Bozo hot dogs. As a child, it was pretty epic. Edit. Thank you for the silver. It makes up for missing bucket #5 and 6. I was on Let's Make a Deal in 2016, and I won a new car. It was actually perfect timing, because my old car was on its last legs, and I had started saving for a new one. Then I won a new one and the money I had saved paid the fees and stuff. I won the car in August, but didn't actually get it until November, when the episode aired. But they drove it to my apartment and had me sign the deed, and it was all pretty painless. I had heard rumors throughout life about winning on gamma shells costing you, and things like that. I guess because I already had some money saved for fees and taxes, it ended up really painless. Got a brand new car worth $16k for about $3k in fees and stuff. Totally worth it, and would totally recommend it. Here's a tip: if you ever go to one of those game shows that pick contestants out of the audience, they have a producer briefly interview everyone, usually in groups, beforehand. And as long as you're lively without being theatrical, and seem interesting without being crazy, you have a good shot at being picked. When the producer was interviewing the 20-member slot of audience members I was grouped with, he asked everyone their name and what they did, and one interesting fact about themselves. And one random guy who desperately wanted to be on TV started doing the worm there in the interview area. You could immediately see on the producer's face that though he was forcing laughter, that's definitely not what they're looking to put on TV. Loose cannons are a big no-go. My girlfriend and I were on Shop Till You Drop and won big. I still use the dishes every day. The trips. It was a long time ago. I won was decent. I paid the taxes on my winnings with a check before leaving the lot. It took months and months for all the deliveries to come in. which was weird. I sold off some of it, used a lot of it, and can't find the episode anywhere. How did it help my life? The producer became a friend of ours and helped me propose to my game's partner girlfriend, and we're still happily married 15 years later. My mom won a trip to Vegas by calling in about her worst day ever on a radio show. They were giving away a weekend for two in Vegas to someone that had a really bad day. My mom's day started off with my dad getting into a car accident totaling the van, our only vehicle at the time. Then when she got the rental car, she did some grocery shopping and accidentally locked the keys in the trunk. After she loaded the groceries in, she had to wait over 2 hours for a guy with his arm in a sling to show up to unlock the trunk, and the key snapped off. They had to call a locksmith to open the trunk, and that took another hour. All the perishable groceries were no good anymore because they were in the trunk for 3 hours. Then when my mom was finally on her way home, she hit a cat. She then got home and had my brothers and I help her take in what was left of the groceries. When my older brother closed the door, locking all three of us out of the house, our neighbor had to help us break back into our house by prying open a window and helping me through so I could go unlock the door. This was back in 1991 or 1992. My parents had a wonderful vacation, and 9 months later had my baby brother. Edit. Fixed some auto-corrected words. Won $700 getting a question right on a radio call-in show. My parents gave me $100 of it and kept the rest. At the time I was annoyed. As an adult looking back, it was because we were flat broke. $100 was an insane amount of money to a 12-year-old in the 90s. And the rest went to crazy things like us being able to eat. So overall not too bad. Oh, and when I was 20 I got to stand in a glass tube as a bunch of store vouchers for my local mall zoomed around me, and anything I caught I kept. Shoved them all in my shirt and walked away with a few hundred worth. My mom and I went to The Price is Right, and my mom got called down, got on stage, and won her game. She did not win her wheel spin unfortunately, but she won $10,000 cash from her game, so that was pretty good. Can't complain about winning a bunch of cash. I think about 30-40% went to taxes. I won $15,000 on Millionaire with Meredith, not Regis. I kept $11,200. I had to wait 4 months for the episode to air and another month after that to get paid. Went to England and did a few smaller travel things with it, and then used it to rack up as little debt as possible in grad school. I will forever call it Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and not just Millionaire. I don't remember the amounts that you stay at if you lose after a certain question, but how high did you go? Did you use your lifelines up quickly? Did your buddy not cheat to help you? Did you miss on an easy enough question because you were under pressure? I quit on the 10th question, which is one of the safe questions. I was making very little money at the time and told myself I would play a super conservative game. I used my first lifeline early because I was nervous, used another to play it safe, and used my last one on the question I quit on. They had discontinued Phone a Friend right before I went on. Otherwise, my brother probably could have figured it out. I won the double bubble gum bubble blowing contest at my local grocery store when I was 11, and I won a plaque, the bubble measure thing, and a big fat sack of double bubble gum. So there's a traveling version of The Price is Right called The Price is Right Live that travels around Canada and the USA doing shows that aren't nearly as awesome as the ones on TV, but still pretty good. They came to my hometown, and I was given a ticket to it on my 23rd birthday. 1,000 plus people in the audience, and I'd get called down. I bid on this 6-slot machine worth $375 to get on stage. Then I went on stage and won a trip to Vegas. All the while the host, who was an overly tanned dude, possibly Todd Newton, kept telling me to show some excitement. The audience sang me happy birthday as I walked off stage, which was nice. Then I got mauled by a crowd on the way out of the building because I had a very distinctive sweater on and was recognized by pretty much everyone. Well, the trip to Vegas was really just $1,000 in Travelocity dollars, and I was given the choice of the Travelocity money or an $800 check. I took the $800, which felt really underwhelming. Oh, and I didn't even get to keep the slot machine I bid on to get on stage, which was what I really wanted. I used that money to buy a laptop. The end. When I was 10 I correctly guessed the weight of a pumpkin and won a packet of giant cabbage seeds. I never got round to planting them. Life has been downhill ever since that peak. Won first place in a singing contest sponsored by a local radio station. Scored me $500 cash and bought a new guitar. I had the chance to go to the state fair and compete on a larger stage with a chance to win studio time and some more dollar sign, but declined as my talent ends at little old ladies in nursing homes and church and toddlers. They are my core audience. Not game shows, but back in the early days of music videos, there was a show on a local PBS channel that showed videos on Friday night. They were weird and groovy. Each week they showed postcards that people sent in, and if they showed your postcard, you'd get some free albums. So I sent in a pretty oddball postcard I'd draw up, and they showed it. I was called soon thereafter and given a time to come to the studio. I drove up there about 30 minutes. And it was a real dump. Not surprising. They said I could pick out 3 albums from a pile on a table. The pile was second-rate bands and losers you'd never heard of. I grabbed one of someone I knew, and the other 2 I don't even remember what they were. Another time, a radio offered free circus tickets for people who called in, and I was lucky and scored 5 tickets. I gave 3 away and took my little brother to the circus, but still have to pay for parking and crazy triple priced sodas. Not me, but my parents were on the new Lie What game in the early 80s and won. I guess beforehand. There was a list of items they were given, and they were supposed to pick 3 of the prize items and put them in order of their first choice down to their third. They had just moved into their first house and really needed a washer and dryer. So they put that first and assumed that's what they would end up with if they won. And for the third choice they put a new pop-up tent trailer with camping supplies, something my mom definitely did not want lol. Well, they ended up with the pop-up tent trailer and camping supplies. On the video you can see my mom visibly upset they didn't get the washer and dryer. Hahaha, poor mom. Anyway, they didn't receive their prize until their episode aired, and they had to go pick it up themselves down in Los Angeles, or pay a hefty price to have the prize delivered. They chose to pick it up themselves. They then incurred costs to upgrade my mom's car to and stuff with a tow hitch for the trailer. All in all, it ended up being a great prize because they kept it for 12 years, which included the first 8 years of my life. We took a lot of great family camping trips in that little trailer with some amazing memories made. My mom didn't totally hate it, but she eventually made my dad sell it and upgrade to a bigger trailer with its own bathroom and shower. Haha. I won $1,200, split with a friend, so $600 each, on the Canadian version of Cash Cab. Luckily it was in Canada, which has no price tax, so we were mailed a check for $1,200 even. I remember being so dumbfounded when they turned off the cameras and then took away the big wad of cash they had just handed to us. Well, mail you a check. Close bracket. We were young and dumb, so we blew the money on a 10-day long birthday road trip to New York City and Montreal. It was a great time. Won on a radio game show, 2 tickets to a festival I couldn't attend, and headphones worth a grand total of $750. Life hasn't been the same since. My mom won 2 tickets on a radio show for front row seats for Coldplay when they were playing at a Six Flags. She gave them to me, and I took a friend. He wanted to ride the Superman coaster, but the band all wanted to ride it too. We ended up stuck at the front of the line for 30 minutes, while the coaster just kept going over and over. Then when the concert started, we discovered our tickets absolutely weren't for front row. We ended up sitting in the grass behind all the seats. Then a cold rain started, so we got out of there. Funny thing is, the thing I wished I could forget about that day was my friend picking up my beanie off the dashboard and finding a pair of my panties inside. I couldn't tell if he was horrified or intrigued. All I know is that I was embarrassed. Mine was technically a game show. I remember vividly as I was reading through the disclosure agreements. It was listed as such. I was on a show on CNBC / Make Me a Millionaire Inventor. We were episode 1 season 1, the premiere. We had developed a mouth guard that measures the severity and frequency of sport impacts. We ended up winning $100. 000 investment from the investors and everything worked out. We received the capital and deployed it effectively. We are now a growing company that helps keep athletes safe around the world. For us it was rather monumental. I knew a guy that won the Showcase Showdown on The Price is Right. He won 2 jet skis and some other stuff I don't remember. He was crazy about that show and knew all the prices. Yeah, I'd never have suspected it either. Since he was a cool guy college football player, the local paper did a write-up on his big win. I don't know that it helped his life other than fulfilling a dream of his and giving him a couple of badass jet skis to use on the lake during our hot ass summers. My grandma won a yellow 69 Camaro SS on Let's Make a Deal. They had to sell it so they could buy a station wagon. My dad would tell me and my little brother that story and how broken-hearted grandpa was every time we saw a yellow Camaro. Not a game show, but I won a new truck through the GM/Onster Hot Button contest. Was there to fix their email, and while waiting for them to finish lunch I won a truck. Had a car so didn't need the truck. Sold it for $18. 000. Paid backslash $4K in taxes. Paid off $10K in debt, and blew $4K on fun stuff. Was really nice. Giving my girlfriend $1,000 to do whatever she wanted was really cool. Felt like a baller. When I was in first grade I correctly answered a question about dinosaurs on our local news station. I won a lifetime supply of meat from the local butcher. Every month my family got a styrofoam ice chest filled with steaks and sausages. This went on for a good 4 or 5 years until the butcher went out of business. Edit, I forgot to mention that we also got a barbecue pit. Also we got a bag of charcoal with each ice chest of meat. I won a 4-day ski trip to Steamboat, hotel stay, and concert tickets to Papa Roach from a local radio station. They called me in the morning, and I was still sleeping when they said I won. I responded with holy shit that's awesome. Some friends later said they beeped it out, and the hosts had a good laugh. Lol. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Your story reminded me of this. A few years ago my mom had surgery and was in and out of it on the way back in. My aunt, mom's sister, won something on the radio, but they called my mom. I can't remember the exact details of it now, and they told my mom she won some earrings. My mom, who would normally be excited and make normal conversation, wasn't. According to people she sounded high as a kite. BC she probably was. I think they said, hey, you just won earrings. How do you feel about that? My mom said, oh I feel good. I just had surgery though it was our small town station so everyone knew who my mom was. We had to tell them she had surgery. Still makes me laugh several years later. I won so many times on a Sunday morning oldest trivia contest that they finally made a rule that you could only win every 30 days. The strangest thing I won was a pair of cowboy boots, and I didn't want to be a cowboy. A friend of mine won one of the last episodes of The Weakest Link. It was an episode where they were supposed to be lookalikes of the host. She won $100K. She was wanting to be able to stay home with her kids and this allowed her to do that. She homeschools her 6 kids now and is just such a happy, sweet lady. I was on a game show called Let's Ask America in 2013 and I ended up winning $24. 000. It was so insanely surreal and I couldn't believe I had actually won that amount of money until after the show aired and they sent me a physical check in the mail. It was absolutely life-changing for me. I was 26 at the time of filming and had been working 3 jobs, marketing firm, restaurant, bar, just to get by in an otherwise shitty economy. I wasn't exactly drowning in debt or anything, more so just getting by paycheck to paycheck. I also didn't mind working at all. It was just that I had all these travel plans that I was constantly dreaming about. I pretty much felt like I was in this constant cycle in which I could never really save much. So, when I received this relatively large sum of money, I decided to sell everything and plan out some travels. I ended up getting a 1-year work and holiday for Australia and arrived here in 2014 with nothing but a backpack and a duffel bag. My experience has been nothing short of amazing. I ended up finding work at a marketing agency within my first week here, and they went on to sponsor me. Side note, I made way more at that firm in an initial entry level role than I did at the agency back in the US. 6 years later, I have tripled my income since arriving here and now have a great role at an agency I love. I'm now a permanent resident of Australia and have about 6 months until I can apply for citizenship. Since living in Australia, I've been to 12 different countries, which for some reason always felt impossible when I was living back home. I've just loved my overall experience, and I'm so grateful that those winnings were the catalyst for it. Winning clip link. youtube.com/watch v=xvc_2dlxlnk. Let's Ask America. Bonus. I ended up on the Australian version of the chase, but didn't win any money on that one, haha. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.